Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be all about Maraschino Liqueur. So before I get into what Maraschino Liqueur is, I think it's important to give you a little brief history geography lesson on where it was invented. So Maraschino Liqueur was invented in an area of Europe called Zara, which was in Italy. Today this area is known as Zadra in Croatia. So from 1409 to 1797, Zara was in Italy, specifically within the Republic of Venice. Then following World War II, like a lot of the other country borders within Europe, the borders shifted, and this area of Europe was seceded to Yugoslavia in 1947, and today this area is known as Croatia. So Maraschino Liqueur is made from Marasca cherries, which are native to this area of Europe. And it's really more of an eau de vie because it's not a cherry liqueur. It's made from the pits of the Marasca cherry, and it's made into a clear, colorless fruit brandy. So even though Maraschino Liqueur was invented in the 1500s, it didn't really become commercialized until 1730 by Italian pharmacists Bartolomeo Ferrari and Giuseppe Caringa in Zara. And really what they did was improve the distillation process to turn a cherry tonic into a popular sipping liqueur, because before this time it was just used for medicinal purposes. Then in 1759 it was industrialized by Francesco Drioli, and I believe this was the first Maraschino Liqueur on the market. So the most popular Maraschino Liqueur on the market is from Luxardo. So obviously Luxardo isn't the first Maraschino Liqueur on the market because it didn't come onto the scene until 1821, and it was founded by Girolamo Luxardo in Torreglia, which is in the province of Padua. So I'm going to do my best to explain the flavor profiles of the Maraschino Liqueur because I've had this bottle for about 5 years now, and I'm having a really hard time on describing on what it really tastes like. Yeah, the first thing that always comes to mind is that it's very perfumey. You're not really getting a cherry flavor from it because, like I said, it's not a cherry liqueur. It's more of an eau de vie. It's kind of nutty. I don't really want to say floral because it's really not that floral. It's more like a bright, perfumey type of flavor. So I'm actually not the biggest I'm actually not the biggest fan of Maraschino Liqueur because it can really take over a cocktail in a negative way. So it's best using cocktails with just a bar spoon or maybe a quarter of an ounce. Once you get to that half ounce or higher, it'll really take over the cocktail. I guess I'll do a bit of a taste test for you guys. So if you ever want to see how much is left in the bottle, just flip it upside down. I need about 1¼ ounce in today's video, so I think I have enough. Okay, right away, I think it tastes a little bit more better than it smells. So as soon as you sip it, right away, you just get a big, bright pop. And again, I can't really put my finger on what flavor profiles that I'm tasting, but it's actually really nice and sweet, not too sweet. Like I said, it's very bright, it's kind of nutty, and yeah, you're not really picking up on a cherry flavor, but it's actually pretty nice and complex. So there are a couple other Maraschino liqueurs on the market. There's one from Lazzaroni, and from what I've read, it's a little bit more sweeter than the Luxardo. Bowls actually makes one as well. But those ones are a little bit more harder to find, and Luxardo is widely available across the world, and it's pretty cost effective at around $34, $35 or so. So the first cocktail that I'm gonna do is the Casino. So this cocktail was first seen in print in Jacob A. Dieter's book, The Reminder, Up-to-Date Bartender's Best Pocket Guide. That was a mouthful. So for this cocktail, we're gonna need gin, lemon juice, and orange bitters. So this cocktail was first made using Old Tom gin, but nowadays it's been more accustomed just to use a London dry gin. So we're going to start off with 1½ ounces of gin, ½ ounce of Maraschino Liqueur, ½ ounce of lemon juice, and 2 dashes of orange bitters. Add ice, and shake for 12 to 15 seconds. So we're going to garnish with the maraschino cherry inside of the glass. So if you don't want to get some of that cherry syrup into the drink, then you can just put it over a napkin or paper towel and just absorb some of that juice off of the cherry. Then just pop the cherry into the glass and then double strain. And there you have the Casino. Cheers. Yeah, up front, you're getting the acidity kick from the lemon juice. It's really bright. You don't really get as much of the Maraschino liqueur. It kind of blends into the cocktail. Again, just like in the last video, you're not really getting a lot of that gin. So if you're not a big gin fan, then this is probably another good cocktail for you as well. You're picking up on that maraschino flavor, but I think the brightness from the maraschino is blending into the brightness of the lemon juice. So I would put this in a sour style cocktail, or technically I think it's called a daisy. A sour is a base spirit, a citrus, and a sweetening component. If you have a liqueur in it, I think it's called a daisy. But nonetheless, it falls into that kind of sour style drink. It's not one of my favorite cocktails, but it's kind of nice, light and refreshing. So the next cocktail that I'm going to do is the Fancy Free. So this cocktail was first seen in print in 1941 in Crosby Gage's book, Cocktail Guide and Ladies' Companion. So for this cocktail, we're going to swap out the gin for bourbon and swap out the lemon juice for Angostura bitters. So this is also the first time that I'm using bourbon on the channel, so I know I said I want to introduce you to one bottle at a time in each video. So every single cocktail that I've made on this channel and that I'm going to make is a cocktail that I've already made before, and you can find it on my Instagram. And I had a hard time finding one that used the maraschino liqueur with minimal ingredients. But spoiler alert, there's a bourbon video coming up very soon. So I'm going to be stirring this cocktail, and before I get into making it, I'm just going to explain how long I'm going to stir it. So there's a lot of different factors that play into how long you should stir your cocktails. Some of it depends on the alcohol content in some of the spirits that you're using. It also depends if you're going to be serving it in an old-fashioned glass over an ice cube, or if you're going to be serving it up in a coupe. And also a third factor would be the temperature of your ice. So just to make it easy for yourself, if you're going to be serving it over ice, then just stir for about 20 seconds because the cocktail will continue to dilute over the ice. But if you're going to be serving it up, like in a coupe, then you can stir it for about 40 seconds or so. So we're going to start off with 2 ounces of bourbon, half an ounce of maraschino liqueur, 2 dashes of the ever so dangerous Angostura bitters, and 1 dash of orange bitters. Add ice, and we're going to stir for 20 seconds. Strain into an old-fashioned glass over an ice cube. And garnish with an orange peel. And there you have the Fancy Free. Cheers. Yeah, that's good. Right up front, you get that bourbon, and on the back end, you're kind of getting that bright flavor from the maraschino. So even though I used half an ounce of the maraschino, which is the same amount that I used in the Casino, the maraschino punched through the gin a little bit in the Casino, whereas the bourbon in here, it's a lot more bolder. So this drink has a big bourbon flavor, and the maraschino is just kind of on the back end. It's complementing the bourbon. So it's a pretty good, nice, complex variation on an old-fashioned. So the next cocktail that I'm going to do is the Martinez. So this cocktail dates back all the way to the late 1800s, and its origin story isn't really well known. Some people say it was invented in the 1860s by Jerry Thomas at the Occidental Hotel in San Francisco, while others say it was invented by Julio Richelieu in Martinez, California in the 1870s. So for this cocktail, we're going to swap out the bourbon, bring back gin, take out the Angostura bitters, and bring in Sweet Vermouth. So Jerry Thomas used an Old Tom gin in his Martinez. I'm not sure what Julio used for his, but Nowadays, it's commonly made with London dry gin. So we're going to start off with 1.5 ounces of gin. Just a bar spoon of Maraschino Liqueur. An 1.5 ounces of Sweet Vermouth. And 2 dashes of orange bitters. Add ice. And because I'm going to be serving this up in a coupe, I'm going to stir for 40 seconds. Strain into a chilled coupe. Garnish with an orange peel. And there you have the Martinez. Cheers. Yeah, with this one, the hero here is the Sweet Vermouth. You're really getting that savoriness from the Sweet Vermouth, and it kind of ties it all together. It's very similar to the Hanky Panky that I did in the Fernet Branca video. You're getting a little bit of the floralness from the gin. The Maraschino, I think, is blending into the Sweet Vermouth. Yeah, it's a pretty good drink. It's a good entry level into Maraschino if you think you're not going to be a fan of those flavor profiles. Okay, so that's it for today. Here you have 3 cocktails with Maraschino Liqueur. If you don't think you're going to be a fan of these flavor profiles, then you can start off with the Martinez as a good entry level, and then you can go into these 2 here. With the Fancy Free, it falls into more of that old-fashioned style, and with the Casino, it falls into more of that sour style with that bright citrus flavor. I hope this video was as much fun for you as it was for me. Hit that like and subscribe button, follow me on Instagram for more recipes, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!